Good Wednesday morning. Welcome into Morning JOX. Damian Mitchell alongside John Saber. We're getting closer and closer. Hope everybody has a great start to your morning. We appreciate y'all hopping on in with us. Fall camp continuing for both Auburn and Alabama. We'll get a chance to hear from Kane Wommack here in this segment. Kind of taking a look at this Alabama defense overall, just feel of how Alabama's fall camp is going. Also take a look at, Auburn getting back on the practice field yesterday. And really and truly, listen, it's early on. We'll know more as we get back from this coming up weekend, because that's when scrimmages happen. That's when we finally, of course, they've been going through drills, individual work, just getting them better, improving, starting to fill out some things, seeing who could really step up and go out there and potentially make an impact for your squad. But I think scrimmage weekend, as we approach to it, that's when you start to see kind of the filling out process. I think we'll probably have, at least on the Alabama side of things, we'll start to clear out who's kind of taking the reins as QB1. Auburn, just understanding how this Alex Golesh system is going to work. Probably hear some few names that'll step up. And I think all in all, we're still in the talking season for a couple more weeks, but we're only getting closer to the start of college football. 24 days before Alabama and Auburn both hit the field for a real game. Auburn, of course, in that Aflac kickoff with Baylor in Atlanta, and then Alabama taking on ECU. But, of course, as always, we appreciate all of our wonderful listeners. Listen, John, yesterday, he got crazy. About 6:20 or so, we got a call from Lamar in Blunsville, big Auburn fan. The only thing he said was, hey, I feel good about this season. I like where the program's heading. He likes Alex Golesh. Just speaking positivity. Wasn't anything outrageous. He didn't try to make a schedule prediction or anything. He just said, hey.
He didn't have him going 8-4 like someone did
No,
a week or so ago.
No,
okay.
He just spoke positively.
Okay, all right.
But,
okay.
Man, it got wicked. Like, Alabama fans were coming out the woodworks like, nope, season's over. Don't even try to put your chips behind Auburn. It's the same old six. Somebody said they'll be the best 6-6 team in the nation. And then Auburn fans were just kind of like, wait a minute. All he said was, hey, I think Auburn would be pretty good. Simple as that. And it got crazy there. So hopefully. And the crazy thing was, we had audio from Ryan Grubb. Like, we were talking about Alabama and just talking about the offense, and then the flip of a switch, and it went crazy. But it was.
I guess Bama fans still haven't gotten over the BTA that they got from Georgia and from Indiana.
So they passed it on.
Pretty much, right. 10 of their last 12 quarters look like dog excrement, and yet, okay, it's if you ever watch How I Met Your Mother, Marshall called it the chain of screaming. So, when something goes wrong, someone's got to yell at something. So his boss yells at him. He yells at someone under him, and so on and so forth. So Alabama fans feel like, we got to yell at someone.
Well, they say hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
That's
and they've been hurt since January.
Yeah. So they've been spewing on that, but hopefully everybody keeps it. I don't know. Maybe it was just maybe somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed on a random Tuesday, but, it just completely got sidetracked. But it was fun. But again, to me, I like the energy coming from both sides. As far as Alabama, some of the, I guess you'd say casuals, they have their opinions, but I think for the most part, collectively, it feels as though that both teams feel a sense of confidence. And again, I had this feeling, and it happens pretty much every year after SEC Media Days. You go up there, you hear your head coach speak about the program, and really and truly, that's where, again, like before the season starts, everybody feels like you have a chance. Everybody, all 16 teams in the SEC feel like, you know what, we have.
Vanderbilt didn't used to.
No. But then they laughed.
Now, yes.
They laughed at Clark Lee at his first SEC Media Days when he said, hey, I'm turning.
You too.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Yeah. We laughed at
We laughed at Clark Lee when he said, hey, I'm building Vanderbilt into the best college football program. And everybody's like, all right, come on now, coach. Like, remember where you are. And all he has done is kind of put Vanderbilt in a position where we're not penciling them in for the bottom of the SEC anymore. But I do think that for Alabama and Auburn, especially on the Auburn side of things, how many times are we going to say, like, it's a fresh start, it's a fresh start, it's a fresh start? But when we had the practice yesterday on Mac and Cube, when Cole started going back and, I mean, inadvertently started talking about where you would be in the past 10 years, and we looked at the record, it's, well, Kentucky and Auburn are in the same, have the exact same record in the past 10 years, that now you feel like, okay, after 5 losing seasons, your revolving door of head coaches, it feels now with Alex Golesh, again, he's saying the right things. Everything is going to come down to what he does on the field or what product Auburn puts on the field against Baylor to start the season. But I do think that everybody is at least jumping on board of saying, hey, this is going to be an improvement. Maybe on the record, it may still look 6-6, 7-5, but it does feel like there's some cohesion across the board. Now, Alabama, it's a little bit different. And granted, again, in hindsight, in 2025, you make a college football playoff, lose to Indiana, but in 2026, you sure up whoever's going to be your quarterback. You have some issues on the offensive line that you kind of have to piece together. But it does feel like there's a sense of let's just see how it goes. And I think you brought it up last week of Alabama has kind of reached this point of, okay, we need to see it. No more of, and we'll hear from Kane Wommack. And I think for somebody that's, when we talk about how DJ Durkin and the retention he's had on the defensive side, I think for Kane Wommack and some of the players that you're returning on the defense, that this is year 3 for everybody that's been in this program. It's now, do we have the Jimmies and Joes to go out there and execute at a high level where they're not sitting here thinking, okay, well, we're running certain coverages, that we had success in early on. Now you know what the expectation level is. And I think for Kane Wommack defensively, there's going to have to be some guys to step up because we're so used to, just name a random defensive lineman or linebacker for Alabama in years past that, okay, it's just plug and play. Now it's kind of who we have a feeling of who should be the next guys to step up. But in the secondary, you've got some real experience. I mean, we saw the development of Dijon Lee last year, 6'4" corner. Xavier Brown continued to get better. Of course, everybody looks at Bray Hubbard from the first game against Florida State, but then you look at the rest of the season of how it went for him. And Keon Sabb, when he's out there, he's impactful, but the biggest thing for him is just trying to stay healthy. So I think all in all, it's good to feel optimistic. Let's hear from the defensive coordinator from the University of Alabama. He talked a little bit yesterday about some guys that are stepping up, and he feels like the Alabama defense is trending in the right direction.
Got some of the younger guys up front that have really taken some steps and strides in the right direction. I think it's certainly, Terrence Green is a really good example of got to go a little bit limited in spring ball, and then you watch him now. He's starting to make more plays within the defense. Some of those outside linebackers are doing a much better job. Justin Hill's always been a very physical player and can create knockback, but is starting to understand how to disengage, get off the ball, and finish in the backfield. So I think we're trending in the right direction there.
See, and I like that. Like, you hear some names, Justin Hill, and I think, to me, for Alabama, because of how inconsistent, I get this. The more I kind of go back and I look at the 2025 season, it's very yin and yang. It's when they're rolling, it looks like a modern version of the defense of old, because it feels as though when they need to make a play, they usually got those things. Like, go back and you watch Vanderbilt, how Vanderbilt was driving in certain times, but when the defense needed to step up and make plays, they did that. You had the pick 6 against Tennessee there right before halftime. You go back to the college football playoff in Oklahoma when Xavier Brown gets that pick 6. It's whenever, and even going back to the Iron Bowl, Auburn is driving, Cam Coleman hits a tunnel screen, you cause a fumble, you secure the victory in the Iron Bowl on the road. There were moments in time last season where Alabama finally looked, when they needed to hang their hat on the defensive side, they stepped up and made plays. And again, a lot of that comes with all of that comes with more experience, more game reps, because I don't think that it, and I'm not going to say it's fair or unfair for Kane Wommack, but we'll hear a little bit later just how certain times, especially on third downs, when it's so difficult because we had gotten so used to just Alabama defensively. It was just a brute force, couldn't get anything. But then as the transition happened with Kalen DeBoer, Kane Wommack coming from South Alabama as the head coach, like he knows the defensive side of the ball. He wants to play certain games in coverage and disguise some things. Well, I think now in year 3 with guys that you have really bought in, have developed in this system, it's no longer a Bray Hubbard is on the defensive side, especially being at safety. He sees everything. He has to see sideline to sideline. And now of trying to like put guys in place and say, hey, like make sure you're there, do what you need to do. Now they can play some games because everybody is confident of where they need to be, what position on the field they need to be, where their end goal is as far as when the ball is snapped and where they need to be. I think having that experience in the secondary is going to be vital for Kane Wommack and the defensive side of the ball. Speaking of Kane, let's continue on. He talked about kind of the defense on third down and how a philosophical discussion with the GOAT Nick Saban kind of opened his eyes a little bit.
Certainly there are times, right, where you have to be able to play match coverage to be able to go win in this league. And, in the offseason, Coach Saban and I talk a lot. And, that was one thing that he brought up watching us on third downs. And I thought he had some really good points of having one or two more variations of things that we can do, right, to be able to complement some of the stuff that we're already doing. And you look at our third down numbers in the past in our history, we've been pretty good. And I thought we're not where we needed to be. We had too many third and longs where we didn't get off the field, and so for us, maybe having a couple more variations and things that we do. And then certainly, to be a dominant defense, you've got to be able to go play some press and man. And that's something that we've always done. We did more of it in 2024. And then last year did a little bit less for a number of reasons. But something that, I hope that we're moving back in a direction to where we feel like we can do that and also play a couple variations of some matchier style coverage.
And see, that's the fun stuff. Like that's kind of getting into it as far as, and when he talks about match coverage, it's the defense, especially in the secondary. It's knowing your rules of, hey, once they get to this certain yard mark, it turns into essentially man-to-man. Like you start to read certain things of, hey, if they line up in a trip set and I'm the backside safety, I'm looking at number 3. If he crosses over into, my hash, then essentially it becomes man-to-man at a certain level. Like, I got to match up with him. And then out there on the corners, once they get vertical, kind of pass certain things off, they have to communicate. And it's a lot of playing with your eyes. So going back to that interception with Xavier Brown there against Oklahoma in the college football playoff, it's one of those things where pre-snap, John Mateer sees something, and at the snap of the ball, the last thing he sees is Xavier Brown kind of, turn his butt to the sideline of having, okay, he's squeezing down. So whatever read I have on this RPO, I know once I flash this, hopefully my receiver sits down, and all of a sudden Xavier Brown turns his back. He goes from butt to the sideline, back to face up, and the ball is literally waiting on him. It hits him right in the chest, and he keeps it pushing. Like, it's excellent. It is excellent once you kind of disguise, and I think that's the kind of level of experience that's going to be beneficial for Kane Wommack defensively, because he doesn't have to necessarily do the teaching portion. It's no, these guys know. You see this formation, you see this, you know what's coming. Look at down and distance. All right, boom, let's play with them. Let's see where it goes. But I think that's what helps. What the benefits that you have in the secondary of being able to disguise some things and move some guys around, I think helps out that defensive front, because the fact that, hey, if we're not getting home at the level in which we're used to, or we're not putting too much pressure on the quarterback, we know that our guys in coverage are still locking down, no matter how much time it really goes. But we'll continue hearing from Kane Wommack, defensive coordinator there in Alabama. Also continue to get with your calls, your text messages, always welcome, 205-834-9450. Keep it locked right here on Morning JOX. 6:19 here on Morning Jocks. Damian Mitchell, John Saybear. Conrad out this morning, but he'll be back for three-man front from 10 to 2. As we inch closer to the start of the college football season, it's been a long off season. But fall camps going around in college football. and really, truly, it's been funny. I was thinking about this during the break, and I saw a play from Eric Singleton in Florida, from Aaron Philo, which we know that how that situation is. Don't know who the quarterback is, but man, Eric Singleton, I didn't realize this, but every single college game, no matter the location, every single college game that he's played in, he's had at least one catch, which is, I mean,
mind-blowing almost.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Like for somebody that, started off at Georgia Tech, hit the transfer portal, transferred to Auburn, and now he's at Florida on his third school, but yet every single game he's played in, he's had at least one catch. And again, hey, that just kind of goes to show the talent that in which he is, that, hey, we got to find a way to get him the football. And I know Auburn fans, I know we've been seeing the viral clips of Cam Coleman and all those catches, but I think the Eric Singleton transfer is going to be one of those ones we look back and saying, man, would have liked
That's where we missed.
Yeah. Like, and then, of course, hindsight's always 20/20 when, because I look at, had some Auburn players known that Alex Golish was coming in. And again, I don't know how the inner workings happened, if he had conversations with some guys, but especially the receiver position. Hey, if you had known that Alex Golish was going to come in as your head coach, you kind of probably would have looked back and say, you know what? With the way that he runs his system, if I'm a receiver, I know I'm going to get the ball. Like, I know I'm going to get, a high-powered offense. And again, maybe, the bag was too much at Texas, so Cam Coleman had to make business decisions. At Florida, Eric Singleton. But all in all, that's just the nature of college football and where we're going. New look for just about everybody. New look, just schemes, teams. Like, it's the ever-changing landscape of you don't know what to expect when it comes to this transfer portal era, NIL era, because teams can be bought, teams can be replaced year after year. And when you have some of those, especially for Georgia, like look at Georgia, for example, when sometimes you can retain some big time names, you kind of feel good about where your season could potentially be. But I'm excited. Continuing hearing from defensive coordinator. He starts talking about and I know Alabama to start the season against Florida. But here's the defensive coordinator, what it takes to be a fundamental.
Right. Have our job players and a lot of energy and as well. Job at the beginning. And we didn't. And so is the passion in today. All right, was the first live work that we got. You saw our guys at the beginning of practice do a really good job of playing with passion and energy. And Patrick Murphy came in and talked to the team about Mudita, right, which is a genuine excitement for your teammates, almost more than yourself. And so that really was impactful yesterday when we heard that message, and it was something that we've kind of been talking about and searching for. And so you saw that early, but then as practice went on, right, you had guys that started to kind of lose. They're getting tired, right? They're starting to wear down, and keeping that same energy as a defense as well. So tackling and energy, all of that goes in hand of being an efficient tackling team.
As defense coordinator Kane Wommack talking about just the philosophy and science and art behind tackling. Like, yeah, you could teach you all the techniques, but at some point in time, it's just all about getting the ball carrier to the ground. And I think for Alabama fans, especially because everything hinges on the last thing that you saw, and kind of going back to last season, it was the first thing that you saw. The tackling was an issue. And again, I don't take this, the situation with the last game of the season with Indiana, because at that point you just played a team that was better than you. Simple as that. Even if you were the most fundamentally sound team, as far as, getting ball carriers to the ground. When Cole read off the stat that they ran 50 times for over 200 yards, I had to take a step back and wait a minute. Did I watch the same game? Like, they ran the ball 50 times on them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just we're so used to seeing that on the opposite side of things, where it's Alabama kind of dictating the things. But also, I think that defensively for Kane Wommack and some of the offenses that you're going to face now with this 9-game conference schedule, and your first test in the SEC will be Kentucky, and it's not the Kentucky of old with Mark Stoops. Like, it's not. I don't know. I just go by what I've seen Will Stein, that he has. I mean, he's a spread guy. Like, he's going to kind of ramp up the pace for Kentucky offensively, so it's going to look different. But I do think that now when you have Texas A&M on that schedule, now of course you know what Lane Kiffin is going to present with you in LSU, Tennessee, like the style in which you see week to week. You're going to get some tempo, but you're going to have just a few tweaks here and there. But when you look at some of the quarterback play you're going to be experiencing, with Sam Leavitt, does Marcel Reed take that next jump as a veteran quarterback there at Texas A&M? Of course, now not to poke fun, but Auburn for Byron Brown, because again, what if he replicates what he did at USF? That's another thing. Of talk about getting having more hats to the football. You want to talk about tackling? Like, you're gonna have to make sure you wrap up some of these guys. All of these guys, if you want your defense to have success. But I do think that some of the pieces that Alabama is returning, you feel confident that, hey, you iron out some things, you get a few tweaks here and there. There's no telling where this team could be. And a guy that started to blossom late last year for Alabama and really started to make a name for himself is Yanze Pierre. And defensive coordinator Kane Wommack discussed, Yanze's development here in the 2026 fall camp.
I think Yanze has just continued to take steps in the right direction. I mean, here's a guy at the beginning of the season where, he was played a role for us, right? But his role continued to increase and grow. And, I've made no bones about it, right? We haven't had probably the pass rush that we would like over the first 2 years, but Yanze started putting us in a position to where we could do some more things on the back half of last season. And I think that he's continued to elevate his craft. Right now, he's got a lot of confidence when he comes off the edge. You can see it in his movement, his anticipation, and those things got to translate to game day, but certainly excited about his trajectory.
And I do think that Yanze Pierre, especially, and again, as a young guy on a pretty stacked defensive line last year, you started to see, okay, I think it was right around November. It was kind of the month of November. I remember him having a big play in LSU, and then it started to continue to build. And that's one thing you got to have is confidence, especially when you're going to be looked at. And players have this feel when you start to look at the depth chart, or you kind of, you start to pick up game by game, like, hey, I'm getting some more snaps. Okay, like, this team is really dependent on me. Okay, so does he take that next step as far as being that anchor on the defensive line for Kane Wommack and the Alabama defense because of just his experience and, his high motor? Does he take some off of, linebackers because of how disruptive he is on the defensive front? And also, if you're a secondary, it's, okay, well, we can kind of, be a little bit more aggressive because we think our defensive line is going to get back there and penetrate and kind of disrupt the pocket for the quarterback. And I think Yanze Pierre is going to be a vital piece of what Alabama defensively is going to be. I mean, if they're going to look like the Alabama of old, where they're just disruptive on the defensive line, they're strong up front, they can hold their own in the trenches, you're not going to have as many question marks on the defensive line as you do the offensive line for Alabama.
Of your top 8 tacklers from last year, he was 6, but he was also the only sophomore. Everyone else was juniors and seniors. Mm-hmm. Talking about Deontay Lawson, Jefferson Bray, Hill Green, Sabb, L.T. Overton, and Damani Jackson. So this is a guy that, just in his, I won't say second year, but his sophomore year, he was up there, like I said, number 6, I think, in total tackles of last year. So this guy is a disruptor, and he's coming back for another year in the same system. Yeah, people do need to watch out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It builds confidence of, like, okay, I don't have to think about my my job as I'm doing it now. Now it's, hey, coach called this. I know exactly where I need to be. Let me go out here and do it at the best of my ability. And I think that kind of breeds confidence into a younger player. And again, he was a sophomore last season. Everybody's going to get bigger, faster, stronger. Now does that football IQ start to span? Does Kane Wommack start to play some games of, hey, maybe we can start him out at, does he go from a 3 technique to out wide? Can we play some games? And again, we had this conversation years ago with Pete Golden when he had Will Anderson dropping out in coverage. And then you're like, why isn't he rushing the passer or some of the exotic things? Because of this, just their skill set. But I think Kane Wommack, at least defensively and what he does, he brings certain pressures at certain times. I thought he hit the nail on the head when he talked about the third downs, because there were certain moments in games where Alabama was able to – there were moments where you wanted them to, if they put this ball on the if they make the offense punt, you feel as though, okay, we got him in a third and long situation.
Yeah, that's a win.
That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win. But I do think now with some of the things that you're able to do with some of the older guys that are returning and some of the guys that are developing, you're in a good spot there defensively. So we'll continue the conversation on the other side. We see your text messages, see your calls, 205-834-9450. We'll get to some of those texts and calls on the other side. Keep it locked right here on Morning Jogs. 6:35 here on Morning Jocks. Damian Mitchell and John Saybear here with you. 205-834-9450. Text messages and calls always welcome here on the program. Let me tell you about the Alabama heat and humidity. It can be absolutely brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system recognized as America's most trusted brand 12 consecutive years. You can rely on a Trane. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. Let's go to the phone lines. And the guy that started all this commotion yesterday, hopefully he realizes that it got a little wicked. But let's go to Lamar in Bluntsville. What's going on this morning, Lamar?
Oh, man, I'm just eager to get back to you guys. I'm 61 years old, and I've heard it and seen a little bit of everything ever since I've been Auburn. I've been an Auburn fan since I was 18, and I'm like an old bull. I got battle scars, but I'm still standing, and I'm not afraid of anything. I'll just be honest with you. But one thing that I was thinking about that I wish I'd have told on the radio yesterday is them bringing in Golish and getting rid of Hugh Freeze reminded me of the early 80s when Auburn got rid of Doug Barfield and brought in Pat Dye. Pat Dye had that hard-working, blue-collar worker about him. He put them to the test and found out who he wanted his ball players to be. And the ones that wasn't going to cut the mustard or just didn't buy in, he got rid of them. And he laid the groundwork for a team that consistently beat people through the 80s. And you went from back early when Doug Barfield, you weren't sure you were going to win the game. You just hoping you was. Now, when Auburn hit the field, they rolled up their sleeves, and you could see, that hard work ethic about them. And now, 1992, when they brought in Terry Bowden, Auburn was picked probably at the bottom of the list. But they didn't have no superstars or no 5-stars on that 93 team. They just had a bunch of hard-working, blue-collar workers that had a bitter taste in their mouth from the year before. And what did Auburn do in 1993? They won the whole thing. And Auburn had 2 walk-ons on that team, on that 93 team, Willie Whitehead and Jason Miska. They didn't have any stars, but what they had was some guys that bought in. And they went to war in 93 with people. Now we got rid of Hugh Freeze, reminded me of Doug Barfield. Bringing Golish is like that. Roll your up, and I got an anchor tattooed on my shoulder, and I've been in some bar fights kind of coach.
Let's go.
And I am eager to see. And I know you Bama fans, I got a kick out of y'all yesterday. I swear to God, I wore my legs out, slapping my legs over it. I didn't mean to get y'all's panties in the water, Alabama fans. I did not mean to do that. But I love talking football, and I love it being an Auburn fan amongst a bunch of Bama fans. God, dog, I get a kick out of that. When I was in my 30s and 40s, guys, I used to have iron bowl arm wrestling tournaments where I work at. They'd be running their jawbones, and I won those things. I'm stout for my age, and I said, well, come on up here. Iron bowl's tomorrow. Put your arm on that table. Let's have iron bowl part 1. Tomorrow's part 2. And that was 1993 when I did that in 2004. And I love it, and I think that's what Coach Golish and that staff is. And one of those, didn't Auburn hire one of the assistants that Alabama let go, one of the coaches, and they hired him on Auburn's team this year? I believe so. But I love it, guys. I really do love football this time of the year. What it feels like, you got Alabama and Auburn fans, it's like 2 brothers in the same house. We have fist fights. But if somebody come down south from up north, try to kill our football or try to take it away, we would stand shoulder to shoulder, and I don't think anybody stand against that.
Exactly.
But you 2 guys, I just love your show, man. Y'all appreciate y'all guys letting us get on there and give us our opinion. That's just my opinion, what I think's coming, what I've seen over my lifetime.
Absolutely, man.
But,
Lamar.
You guys are great, though. Y'all really are.
Man, we appreciate you, man. And listen, and that's the thing. It feels as though this isn't wishful thinking this year. And I think what you got a lot of from Hugh Freeze, at least the first year, you kind of give him a little bit of a grace period, like, hey, it takes a little bit of adjustment, but it seems as though we're trending in the right direction. But the past 2 seasons there at Auburn, it's been more of a, well, we think we should be here, but then in actuality, you go out there and how close you were, it's, no, we can't continue to be close. We got to win some of these ball games. And again, I like Alex Golish for selfish reasons because I'm a former receiver, and the way that his offense is structured, it takes the load off. And like I genuinely love how he makes you defend sideline to sideline, as far as spacing. Every blade of grass has to be accounted for, and he makes it simple for the quarterback of, hey, especially for a guy like Byron Brown. We're going to ask you to do these things, but we're also going to make it extremely easy for you. If they give you a light box, let's run the football. Let's not overthink it. Let's play some games with them as far as RPOs if they're trying to be a little bit more aggressive. You got some really quality guys to go out there and perform at a high level. It's just now, can you do this in the SEC on a consistent basis? And I lean to the optimistic side of things. Like, I think that, again, I'm not expecting Byron Brown to go out there and throw for 3,000, run for 1,000, but I do think that he is going to be absolutely effective in the system as a guy that's played in it for a ton of years, been with Alex Golish the whole ride there in South Florida. And now you build on that with some of the guys that you have returning, some of the guys that have familiarity with the system, and now can you do everything a tick faster because of the fact of you're going against SEC competition week in and week out. But I do think that, again, when you look at the whole picture and the confidence that you have in DJ Durkin on the defensive side and some of the pieces that are continuing to develop and guys that have been in this system the entire run, it's hard not to feel confident about what Auburn could be. And again, we went through the schedule. You had John, you had him more of at 6-6, 7-5 at the high note. I had him at 8-4 because I do think that there's, again, you got to take into account injuries. You got to take into account, where teams are,
right,
and how they play things out. I think that for Auburn, you're expecting good things, but I think everything has to be within reason. Like, I don't think anybody's looking at Auburn saying like, hey, they're going to, in 2026, you're expecting them to go out here and compete for college football playoff. But you do think that there's going to be enough stability there where, to what Alex Golish said during SEC Media Days, there's a foundation that's laid. There's an identity. We're not going to sit here, the following Monday for the entire season thinking, man, if only the offense would have finally got it together. No, he's not going to beat his head against the wall. Like, he's going to see that, hey, this is where our strength is. This is what we're going to do. We have a few call it and run it situations where we're not putting the quarterback in, no shot at Peyton Thorne where he's working out mental math before he takes a snap. It's, nope, I see the ball. I see the box. Let's get out here. Okay, the box is light. Let's run this thing. Not overthinking it, because you have a quality back in Jeremiah Cobb, Bryson Washington transferring in from Baylor. You've got Davenport coming in from South Florida. Omar Mabson, a guy that has really, really started to blossom, and we saw him in certain times last year where you feel confident that, hey, we can find ways to be effective on the offensive side. And then defensively, it's the bar was set extremely high last year in certain games at certain times. But I do think that, hey, if you do take a step back, you've got an absolute eraser in Xavier Atkins. You've got some veteran leadership there in the secondary with Sylvester Smith and Champ Anthony. I think defensive line, the development of Jared Smith out there on the edge, because you still got to replace what you had when Keyron Crawford and Keldrick Falk. But I do think the system in which they run, DJ Durkin is like, hey, next man up. Like, hey, this is what we do. This is going to be effective. You see how we want it done. And again, nobody's expecting them to make college football playoff jump, but they're going to me, they're going to be better. They're going to be better. It's going to be more fluid. I think it's going to be more stability on both ends, more cohesion of Auburn looking like a team instead of just a collection of players that can play at a high level.
And I have felt that too about Auburn. I do think that they will be better. I just don't know if the record will show it. Not that they'll be worse than 5-7. I don't think that. I just think that, yeah, they'll be a better team than last year, but probably ultimately 6-6 as opposed to 8-4, 9-3, like some fans are thinking out there. Like, yes, they can be a better team, but the record itself may not reflect it, because you may be a better team, but there are several games in there you're going to be punching up that, and just because you're a better team doesn't mean that you can beat those teams. Now, if you can, hey, the foundation is going to be even stronger because, all right, you've shown early on that you can do this, so it's going to be expected that you do this later on. So I fully expect Auburn to be better. I just don't know if the record will reflect it compared to people's expectations.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think that's fair when you look at, what Auburn has to deal with as far as scheduling goes, because I do think that some of the question marks that you have about Auburn, you don't necessarily have about the LSUs of the world, or, Alabama's in certain times that, again, it's challenging. Ole Miss coming off of a college football playoff. It's okay, can they be competitive in those matchups? Can they, like you said, punch above their weight class just a few times, kind of give some teams a scare? But like you said, the foundation would have been set as we go through the 2026 season. 205-834-9450. We'll continue with your text message, your calls on the other side. Keep it locked right here on Morning Jocks. 6:50 here on Morning Jocks. Damian Mitchell, John Saybear, here with you to the top of the hour as we pass you on to McElroy and Kublick in the morning. Continue the college football conversation. We got the JOX kickoff party tonight. Congratulations to all the people that have won tickets. Excited to say hey to y'all. Appreciate everybody that's going to be there tonight there at Regents Field. Hopefully it'll be a fun time. We're not have to worry about the weather like we did last year. We're going to have it in there in the ballroom. So we're going straight to it. Excited to just see everybody, and I'm pretty sure there are going to be some discussions. Hopefully everybody keeps it peaceful. As far as, I don't want anybody to have, like the Lamar from Bluntsville situation where all of a sudden say one positive thing about your team and everybody starts jumping on you. But I'm excited. Should be a fun time. Excited to see everybody there. 205-834-9450. Let's go to another Auburn fan wants to talk with us. What's going on this morning, Don?
Hey, good morning, guys. Hope everybody's doing well on a beautiful morning. But, hey, I got to compliment Lamar. Lamar, you're a great Auburn fan, and, man, you know your stuff, buddy. I mean, I remember the Pat Dye's first year, how he had to come in and change everything. And I believe Golish, I agree with you, Lamar. I believe Golish has got a little Pat Dye in him. He's a no-nonsense coach, and I'm optimistic as well about this team. I'm Damien and John. I know you know how optimistic I am. I mean, I think 8-4 can happen.
Yeah, but you also felt 9-3, which had happened last year too. So,
well, Damien and Conrad would tell you I've been saying 8-4, 9-3 for the last 5 years. But
correct, right? Yeah. But to be fair, you had the talent to do that. It's just sadly the coaching just wasn't there.
Absolutely, John. You're absolutely right. And I mean, I agree with you. But I mean, not only we have Golish, I mean, Damien. Look at all the offensive staff he brought with him that really knows how to run a good offense. I mean, I know you're a Josh Heupel fan and love this offense.
Yeah, it's just, can you do it in the SEC consistently, man? That's the biggest question.
No, absolutely. You're right. And I mean, this 9-game schedule is tough, and we got to play 5 of the 9 on the road. How they're going to do the rotate that every year. And in those 4 games in October, we have to win at least, in my opinion, to do 8-4 or 9-3. We need to win 2 of those 4.
Yeah.
And we could lose all 4. I mean, I got us losing to Georgia and Ole Miss in those 4, and then beating Tennessee at Tennessee and upsetting LSU at home. But I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
Okay. But anyway, guys, I will see everybody tonight. Looking forward to it. Hoping we're going to have a good, nice, peaceful night and everything. And I will see both of y'all tonight, guys. Thank you so much.
Don, we appreciate you as always. We also appreciate our friends at Hometown Roofing and Restoration. Trust the experts for your roofing needs. Over 1,200 roofers in the Birmingham area. Make sure you can call someone you can trust. Hometown Roofers is family-owned, grounded in faith, and community-oriented. The customer satisfaction is focused with your needs in mind, so you can count on honest communication. The goal is to get it right the first time. If it's an insurance claim, call Hometown. They'll take the ball for you, so you don't have to worry about the red tape back and forth with the insurance company. Only top quality materials. Hometown is certified with 2 of the best national brands of shingle, and they offer lifetime material warranties. Financing is also available. What if you have an aging roof or roof damage? Hometown offers free inspections. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. They can also handle siding, windows, gutters, and other minor remodels. Give them a call at 205-984-4777 or visit their website, htroofers.com. And get, that number is 205-984-4777, and that website, htroofers.com. Hometown Roofing and Restorations. Do it right the first time. We'll wrap up with some of your text messages, 205-834-9450. Josh from U.S. Steel says, y'all are talking like Auburn is a poverty program. We had a better team than Oklahoma, Missouri, Kentucky last year and should have won the game against Georgia and had a real shot against Alabama. Well, in the game of football, it comes down to, did you win or did you lose?
I heard shoulda in there. So
yeah. Listen, good thing
the Cleveland Browns had a better team than the Seattle Seahawks. They should have went 17-0.
Listen, man.
But no.
Nah. If you had a better team,
we'd have synced it.
We would have synced it. Cassie says she's looking forward to seeing us tonight.
Hey, Cassie.
That'll be fun. Jimmy says, love Lamar's passive-aggressive phone calls. Him accusing Bama fans of getting their panties in a bunch is top-shelf poking the bear behavior. But that's what we love about college football, and it's getting closer. 17 days away from week 0, 24 days from week 1. Mac and Cube is next.